The Thomas dissent listed two subsections of Chapter 15 of Title 29 of the United States Code, which covers occupational health and safety. The first of them, subsection 652 sub 8, defines the term occupational safety. The term occupational safety and health standard means a standard which requires conditions or the adoption or use of one or more practices, means, methods, operations, or processes reasonably necessary or appropriate to provide safe or healthful employment and places of employment. The second establishes the procedures for the creation and management of the occupational safety and health standards. The Secretary may by rule promulgate, modify, or revoke any occupational safety or health standard in the following manner. Under subsection 2, the Secretary shall publish a proposed rule promulgating, modifying, or revoking an occupational safety or health standard in the Federal Register and shall afford interested persons a period of 30 days after publication to submit written data or comments. While the court was asked to determine the question of delegation of powers, there is a more fundamental problem with Chapter 15 as a whole. The Congress finds that personal injuries and illness arising out of work conditions impose a substantial burden upon and a hindrance to interstate commerce in terms of lost production, wage loss, medical expenses, and disability compensation payments. The Congress declares it to be its purpose and policy through the exercise of its powers to regulate commerce among the several states and with foreign nations, and to provide for the general welfare to assure so far as possible every working man and woman in the nation safe and healthful working conditions, and to preserve our human resources. While Congress may be correct that work-related personal injuries and illnesses places a burden on interstate commerce, Congress is not authorized to regulate said work-related situations. Only interstate commerce itself. From Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 of the Constitution, we read, Congress has the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. You see, Congress can regulate commerce among the several states, but not anything that impacts said commerce. Furthermore, Congress claims to create these laws under the power to provide for the general welfare, but Congress has not delegated the power to provide for the general welfare as they claim. Read the General Welfare Clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts, and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. Congress has the power to lay and collect taxes, to pay the debts, and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. Capital U, capital S, a proper noun. The very same proper noun the 10th Amendment uses to say, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Congress has not delegated the power to regulate labor. Neither is it delegated the power to regulate anything it thinks is for the general welfare. During a debate on bounties for cod fishermen, none other than James Madison said on the floor of the House of Representatives, if Congress can apply money indefinitely to the general welfare, and are the sole and supreme judges of the general welfare, they may take the care of religion into their own hands. They may establish teachers in every state, county, and parish and pay them out of the public treasury. They may take into their own hands the education of children, establishing in like manner schools throughout the Union. They may assume the provision of the poor. They may undertake the regulation of all roads other than post roads. In short, everything from the highest object of state legislation down to the most minute object of police would be thrown under the power of Congress, for every object I have mentioned would admit the application of money and might be called, if Congress pleased, provisions for the general welfare. The General Welfare Clause was never meant as a catch-all power for Congress to do whatever it thought was for the general welfare of those in the nation. Rather, it seems quite obvious that by its placement in a taxing clause, that the General Welfare Clause was meant to allow Congress to collect taxes to pay for the ancillary costs of its duties, such as paying the salaries of those offices created by the Constitution, maintaining other needful buildings, and providing necessary supplies. Based on this, Chapter 15 of Title 29 of the United States Code was made contrary to the Constitution of the United States. Therefore, as Alexander Hamilton stated in Federalist Papers number 78, no legislative act, therefore, contrary to the Constitution, can be valid. To deny this would be to affirm that the deputy is greater than his principal, that the servant is above his master, that the representatives of the people are superior to the people themselves, that men acting by virtue of powers may do not only what their powers do not authorize, but what they forbid.